Hello, welcome to a demonstration on how you can resolve least squares regression using simple linear regression analysis. Right, sounds a little bit of a mouthful, but what is important to understand the least squares regression, what it is. Really, it's that line that we draw using this equation, right, where we say that the dependent variable is equal to the independent variable multiplied by the variable that we actually choose plus the constant or the intercept, right? Again, by just looking at that, sounds a little bit complicated, isn't it, right? But what we're going to do here is we're going to generate our regression statistics using this particular data set, and we're going to keep it simple. We are going to use a simple regression analysis where we are only going to use one independent variable against the dependent variable, right? So we are going to use the square footage and the dependent variable being market value. So we are going to keep it simple so that we are actually able to demonstrate how we are able to extract the values that we need to complete or to solve this particular equation. So then we'll be able to substitute the values that we're going to generate from that. So the whole idea here is to show you where you can actually extract those specific values. Right, now that we've got that out of the way, I can move these definitions out of the way a little bit so that we can have space to generate our regression statistics right here. Now, to generate regression statistics in Excel, what you need to do is you need to go to data, and under data, you'll be able to see data analysis there. Now, if you do not see it, it means that you may not have activated it. So it's actually an add-in that you actually have to bring up in order for it to be visible right here. Now, to do that, it's fairly straightforward. All you have to do is you go to File, and under File, you'll see Options down here. So you click on Options, and once you're there, you can select Add-ins. If you click on Add-ins, you see that there's additional information that shows up on the middle of your dialog box. And right at the bottom where it says Manage Excel Add-ins, all you have to do is just click on Go. Then it takes you to this dialog box here. And here you need to have a check mark against the Analysis Tool Pack. Right, so the reason why it was actually showing up on mine is because there's a check mark already, which means I'd already activated that add-in. Okay, so once you have that available, then you go to data analysis. Then you have a dialog box here where it's actually asking you, what is it that you want to do here? Right, I want to do regression analysis. So therefore I look for regression and I find it here, okay. And then I've got a dialog box where I can actually begin to select the data ranges, etc., etc. So the first part is what is the input Y range? As you can see, Y comes after X, which means that's the dependent variable, right? So dependent variable, we know it's actually going to be the market value. So I can go ahead and select that. Okay. And always remember that remember to scroll all the way up so that you can see the beginning of your data set, right? Then we also have to specify the input X range, which is the independent variable. So in this case, it's actually the square footage. Select that range, and again, as usual, make sure you're at the top. And then here you have to put a check mark to show that the first row is actually a label, right? So it should not be treated as data, but just as a label. Then beyond that, you have to specify where you want your output to be. You could put it on a separate worksheet, but in this case, I want to put it on the same page so that I can actually inspect the data as I actually look at the results if there was need for me to do that. All right, so here I want the output to begin in, let's say, E2. You can see it types in the cell reference right there. So my results are going to be generated beginning in cell E2. Then once I've done that, that's all I need to do. I can go ahead and say, okay. And then it generates the summary output of my regression analysis. Now I can I can move this out of the way a little bit more so that I can clean up a little bit. Okay, and as part of the cleaning up, you'll notice that the lower 95% and upper 95%, it's redundant. It's actually repeated. So I don't need the last two, right? Because I already have these first two here. So I can delete that, right? Then that way, my information is much more readable. It's much, it fits nicely, on the screen. Okay, now that I'm here, now there's so much to interpret here, but that's not the focus of this particular demonstration. This demonstration is really to show you how you can resolve, let's see here, if I can move it up here again. Right, let's see if I can, I think this is about right. Right. Okay, there we go. So now here we can see that how do we resolve the equation y is equal to mx. So knowing that y is the dependent variable, right, and m is the slope, right, and then x is the independent variable, and then of course b is the intercept, right? You can see already here, we can see what the intercept, see this intercept, right? So this will be our intercept, and this would be our slope, right? So therefore, knowing that we are saying here y is equal to, and then I can say mx plus b. Okay, so therefore y is equal to, so we know that our slope is actually provided here. That's that 35.0363. So I can say open parenthesis 35.0363. We can actually end there, multiplied by, now in this case then we have to figure out what square footage do we want to calculate the market value for. So in this case I've actually identified that 1,750 is not listed anywhere here. So I will say we want to figure out the market value of a house with square footage of 1,750, like that. Okay, that's what our x would be right there. And closing parenthesis, plus the intercept, which is actually provided there, is 32,673. Okay, point, we can say 22. There we go. Okay, so basically that's what we're actually doing here, right? So therefore, if we're going to convert this into a formula, so all I have to do is to put an equal sign here, and here it does show us that. Okay, let me format this a little bit, and here it does show us that a house with square footage of 1,750 would do approximate a market value of about 93,986.87. Now, hence the power of using regression analysis to solve the linear equation, right? Because once you've actually generated the regression statistics, here you're actually able to solve, right? So therefore you can actually derive the equation as a predictive model for any square footage of the house. You will be able to predict what the market value is actually going to be by using the linear equation. So I hope you found this helpful. It can really make a huge difference just knowing how you can actually use a linear equation that may be harmless looking, right? Usually when we think about linear equations, how am I going to use this in real life? You can actually use it as a predictive model, all right? And there are actually a variety of ways you are actually able to use Excel to solve this particular equation. And again, you can actually look up my other videos that I've actually done where I show you alternative ways of actually completing the same type of activity. Otherwise, that's all I wanted to demonstrate here. Thank you so much for watching. And again, like the video, share the video, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you. Bye for now.